Alright, so I decided to do a more thorough kind of video of the 6505 Plus. I'm going to go through the 2.5 channels, which will be the clean, the crunch, and the lead channel. As you can see, everything except for the post gains are set to 12 o'clock. I'll do this for a starting point, and I'll go through each knob to give you an idea of what each knob does. Post gain obviously is not going to be at 12 because that shit is retarded loud at that volume, and I'm in a tiny little apartment, and that's just not really going to work. So those will stay where they are for now. Just know that with the post volume on 3, it drowns out a drummer pretty easily, and a heavy hitting drummer as well at that. So anyway, we'll get started. I'm using my LTD Ninja with a BK or a Motor City pickups, Hell Baby in the bridge, and a BG pickups Lizard in the neck. I'll switch the pickups back and forth and go through the tones. So the first thing we'll do, I've got the foot switch hooked up, so I'm gonna click on the crunch and then click it off with the foot switch, just for ease of switching. So I'll start here. We're on the clean channel. You can see here all the tone knobs and the gain are at 5 o'clock, or at 12 o'clock at 5. And there's a bright switch here that we're going to talk about too. So I'll go ahead and play some stuff. I'm on the bridge pickup. Switch to the neck pickup. Oh, sorry, that's the middle position. I'll switch to the neck pickup. If we drop the volume on the neck pickup a little bit. As you can see, the tone's a little bit dark. One thing to note is that as you increase the volume on this amp, the tone does get brighter. Almost to the point where you have to change settings as you increase volume. So let's see what happens when we put the bright switch on. I don't know if you can notice the difference. It's noticeable in the room. The tone is definitely brighter with the bright switch. So now I'm going to switch back to the bridge pickup, and we'll look at how much effect the gain knob has. You can see the post volume is pretty low. We're at about half of a click or whatever. And I might have to increase it as I decrease the gain, but we'll just play with it and see. We're back at 5. I'll go the other way. So as you can see, without the crunch button or without the crunch on, you don't get that much gain out of it. Even with the gain maxed out. I'm sure that increases with volume, but it's not going to be, it's not going to give you that much more. All right, now we'll put the gain back at 5. And we'll go through the individual volume or the individual tone knobs just for a minute. We'll see what the bass and mid and treble do. As you can see, that the tone knobs don't make a drastic difference. The basic tone is always the same. And this is how I felt about this series of amps since I started getting into them, is that the tone knobs don't do that much. They just give you, a little bit of accent here, a little bit of a tone downness there. It's very subtle differences when you mess with them. Another thing that we can mess with on this channel is the presence and resonance knobs. So let's go over there and play with those a little bit and see what that does. So we'll go through the resonance first. So you can see those knobs, they have kind of the same effect as the regular tone knobs, but it's a little bit different. The presence knob I've always felt has been really good for playing at lower volumes. When you're playing at higher volumes, the presence knob gets really really harsh and ice picky, and it makes the amp fizzy and fuzzy, and it just doesn't sound great when you have it set too high. But at lower volumes, when the power amp's not doing much at all, it really kind of darkens the tone up. And using the presence knob to give yourself a little more brightness, it really does a lot of good for the tone at lower volumes. On the lead channel, it also gives you kind of a Pantera-ish vibe to your tone, which we'll go over that when I get to the lead channel as well. The next thing I'm going to do is switch the crunch on, so we can see how that sounds and play with that a little bit. There's a humongous volume jump when you hit the crunch compared to when it's not on. So I'll play a chord here real quick and we'll see. Notice there's a whole crap load more gain. Now we're getting into the kind of higher gain Marshall-y territory. But let's see what the bright switch does here. As you can see with the crunch button in, it makes a really big difference. That bright switch really gives you a lot more presence in your overall tone. I'm not gonna play too much with the tone knobs. I'll go through the gain though, because that's going to make the gain on this channel is going to make the biggest difference. The tone knobs are going to have the same subtle effect that they had before. Maybe I'll turn them a little bit as I play just to give you an idea, but the gain is the main thing. You see a big difference there when I switch to the neck pickup too. Much warmer tone with the neck pickup. Now with the higher gain, you can tell that this is a lot darker than you would expect. So let's play with the bright switch. As you can see, that makes a big difference right there, just the bright. From kind of a muffled tone to a much brighter in-your-face tone. And that's the most gain you're going to get out of the rhythm channel. You might get a little bit more if you crank the high end up. Get a little bit more metal with the scoop tone there. Alright, so that gives you an idea there of everything that the rhythm channel on this amp is capable of. As you can see, there's a lot of versatility there. We can switch back. These settings here, this is how I normally have it set up when I'm playing with the band for clean tone. And I'll switch to the middle position on my guitar. As you can see, it sounds pretty dark, but like I said before, when you crank the volume on the amp, the post gain, it brightens the amp up a lot to the point of being too bright. I had trouble with this in a couple of jam sessions with the band where the amp on the clean settings were too bright. So I turned down the presence, highs, and mids as low as they go, and turned the resonance and bass up a little bit. And it gave me a much more subdued tone compared to the ice picky brightness that it was getting before. And if I switch to the neck pickup, as you can see, that makes a big difference too. compared to the bridge. And that, at volume, that makes a much bigger difference than what you're hearing here. Anyway, let's go ahead and switch over to lead channel and check that out. Hit the foot switch. You can see there's already a lot more gain on this channel, and the gain is only halfway. If I switch to the middle position on my guitar, gives you more a vintage type of tone. We'll switch up to the now you can hear the big difference in the pickups here. My neck pickup is very vintage voiced, and that's one of the reasons I've chosen this neck pickup. It's got a very vintagey, nice, subdued kind of tone, and it's very warm. This is my favorite bridge pickup or neck pickup that I've ever played through, and all my guitars will have one of these from here on. It's great for playing leads and stuff like that. Really great sounding pickup. Anyway, moving on. We'll take a look at the controls here. Let's take a look at the gain first. Getting some great rock tones here with the gain on about 3. Five starts getting you into metal territory, but I like to keep my gain around 6 for metal. Still kind of sounds open, not too compressed, and it's got a lot of saturation in there. And we can keep going from here. Once you pass 7 though, mostly what happens is you get more compression, not much more gain. Anyway, as you can see, the amp is very tight. The low end really stays together. So let's play with the bass a little bit and see how that affects the tone. As you can see, it doesn't do that much. It has a little bit of an effect, but it's really just subtle little frequency shifts. But the core tone is still the same. Let's take a look at the mid. And you can see the mids have a much greater effect than the bass did. You can really scoop the mids out for a nice chunky death metal tone, or you can crank them up for a more cutting kind of modernish kind of tone. Since the amp is really mid-heavy amp, I like to keep my mids around 3 for when I'm playing or general tracking. I'll move on to the highs. You can see the highs really affect the presence of your tone. Makes it brighter, darker, but it also kind of, when you crank the highs up, it kind of brings out the low end a little bit more. So if you're scooping your tone and you're going for a really good death metal tone, lower your mids, crank your bass, and crank your highs, and you'll get a killer death metal sound. Let's take a look at that. You can see what a difference that makes in the tone. It gives you a really nice, chunky kind of death metal tone. It's really fun to play with. So let's go on and check out the resonance and the presence controls. We'll take a look at the resonance first. See how much of a difference that makes. You can see that really brings out the low end. It can make your tone a little muddy if you crank it too high. I like to keep it around 6, but it really does bring out that low end and kind of makes you feel it in your gut. All right, let's check out the presence knob. As you can see, the presence knob doesn't do much until you get around 8 or 9. Then it has a big difference, a big effect on the tone. It really brings out the high end, and it can make your tone really harsh and fizzy, especially at higher volumes. Like I said before, at lower volumes, it's fantastic to really bring out presence in your tone, because otherwise it sounds really dark. It sounds a little bit dark. If I was playing at this volume normally, I'd crank the presence up a little bit to like 8.5 or so, and really bring out the tone, or bring out the sound, make it a little brighter. Typically for higher volume stuff, I keep it around 5 just by default. It doesn't really make much of a difference between 0 and 5, honestly. So at higher volumes, you could turn it off completely or put it on 5, and you probably wouldn't be able to notice a difference. You might notice a little bit more at higher volumes, but at these lower volumes, you won't notice a difference until you get around 8 or 9. Anyway, what you see on the amp now is my typical settings. So, I just kind of wanted to go through everything and give you a really good idea of what this amp is capable of. And I hope I've done that. If you have any questions about the amp, or you have requests for clips or certain settings, feel free to send me a message or post a comment, and I'll do my best to accommodate that. I really like making clips and making these videos, so it's really a lot of fun for me to do this kind of stuff. Fortunately, this amp is it for me. I don't think, unless I become a millionaire, I don't think I'll be buying any other amplifiers. This amp has the lows, it has the tone, it has everything that I've been looking for, and it's versatile. It's plenty versatile, as you can see, for a lot of styles. But I mean, for a metal player like me, really, this is more versatility than I'll ever need in an amplifier, which is nice. But I really love this thing. I couldn't ask for anything more in an amp, and it just sounds great. I mean, feel free, like I said, feel free to send me a message or post a comment if you want specific clips or specific settings tried out. Keep in mind, though, your speakers and your cab are going to have a humongous difference on your tone, and your guitar is going to have a big difference as well. Like I said, I'm using BG pickups and Motor City pickups, so they're really high-end, kind of hand-wound, custom-made kind of things. My cab is an Ear Candy Buzz Bomb in this video, and pretty much all my videos for a long time have been this Ear Candy Buzz Bomb. This has been my end-all be-all cab. They're not easy to get your hands on, but if you get a chance to try one out, definitely try it. It sounds great. It's a 212, so it's nice and small. It's really deep, and it's ported, so it really has the kind of 4-end punch to it, or the 412 punch to it. The speakers I'm using are discontinued speakers. They're Eminence Legend M12s. I've got 2 in this cab, and I've got 4 in my 6505 412 that I play with the band. Great speakers. If you ever get a hold of them, covet it. If you ever get a hold of one and you want to sell it, or you see one for sale, please let me know, because I will buy it without a second thought. Of course, I'm plugged into a Shure SM57 to capture the audio, and that's going into my EMU 0404 USB interface. For my voice, I'm using a Nady D70 drum microphone that I've had for I don't even know how long, and a buddy gave it to me years ago. But it does a job, and it does what I need to do, so I've kept it. These heads, you can get them used for, I guess average is about $750 or so. The cabs, you're probably gonna, if you want to try to get this type of cab, is probably gonna run you about $400. And the speakers you can usually find pretty cheap because they're not. I mean, they're Eminence Legends, which would sell for like $70 new or something like that. The SM57 is $100. Planet Waves cables are like $50 a pop, and the interface is like $150. So, I mean, all this recording gear and stuff, it's, anybody can do this at home if you really want to. Anyway, I'm rambling on about stuff that has nothing to do with the point of this video. The point was to show you what the 6505 Plus is capable of. There are a lot of great tones in it. It's a lot more versatile than people give it credit for. Anyone that says it's fizzy or buzzy, kind of ignore them. I know a lot of people like to say that, but that also has a lot to do with your cab and your settings and your pickups. So I've built my tone around this amp, so everything that I have that I play through really complements it really well, and it's giving me everything that I need in my guitar tone, and it's absolutely perfect, and I could not ask for anything more. As you saw the clean channel, it's better at higher volumes. Obviously, I'm in an apartment and can't really crank it, but at higher volumes, it definitely sounds. It's a good clean. It's not as bad as people say. Anyway, I guess that'll do it. I hope this video was helpful to some of you, or to anyone looking at these amps. I know it's kind of long video, but you can skip the parts of me talking if you want to and stuff like that. But anyway, there you have it. 6505 Plus. It's my amp. It's all I'll ever use unless I become rich and famous and all that stuff, which, there you go. If you have any questions or requests, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to fulfill those requests and answer questions. Thanks for checking it out. I really appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.